Look, we need to talk, not as Democrats or Republicans, not as conservatives or progressives, not as tribes. Look, we need to talk as human beings. We are standing on the edge of a civilizational cliff, and we are looking down into the fog that we will fall into together if we keep pretending that it isn't there. Have you felt it? That heaviness that's in the air? The strange acceleration of everything around us? The sense that life is louder and faster, yet somehow emptier? That we are more connected than any other generation in history, yet we've never been more alone? That we carry the sum total of human knowledge in our pockets, and we still are drowning in confusion. See, this is not merely a political crisis. It is not just an economic downturn. What we are witnessing is a crisis of consciousness. And if we do not name it, understand it, and confront it, we will continue to live inside of it like fish in poisoned water, breathing in what's killing us and calling it normal. See, I'm here today as a spiritual strategist, and that doesn't mean that I came here to entertain you with some mystical language. It means that I came here with a mandate to tell you the truth, to map out the battlefield, and to give you protocols that you can actually use. Now, I'm not here to offer comforting platitudes. I'm not here to help you cope with this decline. I am here to help you recognize what's happening, reclaim your sovereignty, and to rebuild your life from the inside out. Because what is happening in society is happening in people. And what is happening inside of people is happening inside of me and you. So let me begin with a story. A few weeks ago, I watched someone that I care about, someone smart, capable, well-meaning, pick up their phone in the morning, just like we all do. You know, they were half awake, barely conscious, still trying to become themselves for the day. And within a few minutes, their face had completely changed. And I could tell that their breathing had got shallow. Their eyes narrowed. I watched as their shoulders tightened. Now, the phone had not just delivered information, it had delivered an emotional injection. It had taken over their nervous system, and it had chosen the atmosphere of their morning before they even got a chance to choose it for themselves. They hadn't even got out of bed yet, and they were already at war within. And then I asked them a simple question. What did you just read? They couldn't even summarize it. They had been emotionally manipulated into reaction without comprehension, moved without being led, provoked without being persuaded, activated without being informed. See, that is the modern condition. We are being trained to feel faster than we think, to react faster than we reflect, to speak faster than we understand. And the people who are always responding are easy to steer. See, this is what I call the Great Descension. It's not decline as in things are getting a little worse. Descension as in a drop of altitude of the human spirit, a lowering of the inner ceiling, a collapse of depth, a descent from sovereignty into automation. See, you see it in the way that conversations turn into combat within seconds. You see it in the way that nuances are treated like betrayal. You see it in the way that truth is traded for belonging. And you see it in the way that people are treated as data, consumers, problems, votes, demographics, and even content. And here's the brutal reality. A society cannot rise above the quality of its thinking. So, if we want to understand the Great Descension, we must understand what kind of mind a healthy society requires. A healthy society relies on three specific kinds of intelligence working together. We can think of it like a three-legged table, right? Remove one leg, the table's going to wobble, but if you remove two legs, the table completely collapses. And of course, if you remove all three legs, you don't just lose stability, you don't even have a table anymore. You have complete chaos. See, in this case, we are inviting chaos into our society. Here are the three types of intelligence that our stability as a species requires. First is critical thinking. And I call this our epistemic intelligence. This is the ability to seek truth, to test claims, to evaluate evidence, to detect manipulation, and to ask, how do we know? Or ask, so how do you know that? So to separate a headline from a reality, a feeling from a fact, a narrative from a truth. See, without critical thinking, we are defenseless against lies. Not just the lies of institutions, but the lies of our own emotions, our own assumptions, our own unexamined stories. So the second type of thinking that we must have in a stable society is logical strategy, because this is our instrumental intelligence. This is the ability to reason clearly, to anticipate consequences, to see second and third order effects, to ask, if we do this, what happens next? It is the capacity to plan, to build, to endure, to be able to handle a little bit of discomfort for long-term gain. See, without strategy, we become impulsive children playing with fire. We keep pushing the same buttons and acting surprised by the same explosions. The third thinking is humane thinking. I believe this is the most vital because this is our moral and spiritual intelligence. This is the ability to value persons as sacred, never as inputs, problems, units, collateral, or statistics. Without humane thinking, we can have smart systems and still create evil outcomes. We can have progress and still be spiritually dead. When these three pillars crumble, the roof of civilization caves in. And now, let us diagnose the symptoms. Because the Great Descension is not some theoretical thing that I've come up with. This is something we're actually living in. The first symptom is the infodemic. See, we are living through an overload of information, true and false, that produces confusion and risky behavior. But the deeper problem is not only too much information, it is too much information without formation. See, we have been fed content without being trained in discernment. We have been given access without being given wisdom. We have been given speed without being given filters. When critical thinking weakens, truth loses its social power. And we enter a reality where the loudest narrative wins, not the truest one. People begin sharing falsehoods, not only out of malice, but out of lazy thinking, the failure to pause, to verify, to reflect. The result is a society that cannot agree on what is real, and therefore cannot agree on what is right. The vacuum gets filled by tribal truth, where they live inside their echo chambers, where belonging becomes more important than accuracy. And the question becomes not, is this true? But does this help our side? See, this is an epistemic collapse. And epistemic collapse is always followed by moral collapse. Because when reality becomes negotiable, conscience becomes optional. The second symptom that we're going to diagnose here is what we call systemic cannibalism. See, this is when humane thinking dies and people become disposable. We enter a world where we consume human life to maintain our lifestyles. We refuse to interrogate what's going on beyond the scene. and we hide the cost of our comfort behind distance and abstraction. See, consider the device that you have in your pocket, or perhaps you're watching me on right now. In our modern economy, competition over high value minerals has fueled exploitation and violence in parts of the world where those minerals are mined. Many of us will never meet the faces connected to the supply chain of our conveniences. And that's the entire point. A hollow society thrives on the invisibility. It turns souls into shadows so that consumers can remain innocent. See, this is the spiritual diagnosis. When a culture crowns possessions, it eventually treats people as possessions. We have built mansions that serve as tombs for the living spirit. See, let me diagnose the third symptom for you real quick. And I think we're going to get into the meat of this. So the third symptom is the hungry ghost, because we have all been sold a lie that the more we accumulate, the more we will have peace and happiness. But as a strategist, I must tell you that materialism is a failed survival strategy. When it outruns being, the inner life will shrink. It's going to create this hungry spirit inside of this full house, this temple that you are, and it turns the soul into a vacuum that can never be filled. And so we see the rise of anxiety, depression, rage, numbness, addiction, despair, and not only as mental health issues, so they say, but these things are spiritual signals that something essential is starving inside of us. See, people are not only sad, they are unanchored. They are chasing meaning in the marketplace. And the marketplace doesn't sell what we need. These people, they are trying to buy what must be built from within. See, the fourth symptom is the fracture of our attention, the ability to pay attention. See, this is your most vital currency, and you have never learned to use it. Attention is the gateway to reality. Whatever it is that you repeatedly attend to becomes your world. And today, attention is being harvested like a resource. We are being trained into a condition where we can focus on almost nothing for very long. We bounce from alert to alert to alert to outrage to outrage to novelty to novelty. We lose the capacity for depth, and with it, we lose the capacity for wisdom. See, this is why so many people feel busy, but they are not productive, stimulated, but they are not satisfied, informed, but they do not have clarity. See, a distracted mind cannot govern over one's life. And when millions of distracted minds try to run a society, you get a culture of permanent emergency, always reacting, rarely building. So yes, we have created a machine that knows the price of everything and the value of nothing. When a society loses critical thinking, you get manipulation. When a society loses logical thinking, you get chaos. And when a society loses humane thinking, you get cruelty. And when you lose all three at once, you get collapse with a smile. So the question becomes, how did we get here? Was this an accident, or was it by design? See, now we step into the second movement of this speech. And I'm talking about the architecture of the automation. Because in the first movement, we named the sickness. Now we need to understand the machine that produces it. Many people did not simply fall asleep. They were trained to sleep. The decline of the critical thinker is not an accident of history. It is the logical output of systems that reward compliance over sovereignty, reaction over reflection, consumption over contemplation. So we will do a root cause analysis on the structural triad that has fueled this great dissension in which we find ourselves. It's education, the welfare, and identity. And look, I will add one more lever that amplifies them all: the attention economy. See, before I go further, I need you to pause and hear me. We are not judging people's hearts. I'm not trying to judge people's intentions. We are diagnosing the systems. See, many good people entered these arenas with sincere compassion, but good intentions do not prevent systemic outcomes. Let's look at the first lever: education. So, over the last several decades, a subtle shift has occurred in many places. We move from the classical goal of education, which is cultivating wisdom, virtue, and truth, to an industrial goal of cultivating utility, credentials, and consensus. See, historically, the classical model, it emphasized the trivium, the grammar, the logic, and rhetoric. Grammar, which is what is being said; logic is what is true; rhetoric is how is it being used. See, those are survival skills for a free people living in a free society. But we increasingly have replaced formation with standardization. We built systems that measure compliance more easily than curiosity. Look, we train students to pass tests rather than to interrogate assumptions. And we produce credentialed operators who can navigate a system, but they struggle to confront reality or to express any common sense, or what we call street smarts. See, we also begin treating education as an economic transition rather than a moral formation. A diploma became less of a symbol of maturity, and it became more of a ticket into the gated class. See, degrees began functioning as gatekeeping signals, where paper status can matter more than lived wisdom. And credentialism produces anxiety, pride, and dependency on institutions for identity. It produces people who can repeat the right phrases, but they lack the courage or skill to test those phrases. Let's look at the second lever. Many people aren't going to like this one, but I don't care, because welfare and bureaucracy have structured our society. See, compassion is sacred, and society should care for the vulnerable. That's our duty. But there's a spiritual difference between empowering the weak and replacing their agency. See, the spirit, it grows through friction. Character is strengthened through overcoming, and sovereignty is forged in the relationship between choices and consequence. But when any structure guarantees survival while weakening that feedback loop, it can unintentionally cultivate stagnation. See, the safety net, it becomes a hammock. And there's a relational consequential system that replaces neighborly help. And we build these bureaucracies so that we don't have to become a community. We become so materially managed and so relationally cold that we focus on allowing the administration to handle it and remaining isolated. Yeah, we all do it, have done it, and you're guilty, and me too. And the third lever, oh man, bro, over the last 25 years, they have done this identity engineering. It is crazy. The early vision of let's say, yes, the last 60 years. So let's start with the assassination, because when I was doing the research, I started at the assassination of JFK, because you could really see it as they started keeping better records. So the early vision of the civil rights was profoundly spiritual. I'm talking about human dignity, equal protection, judging people by the content of their character and not the color of their skin, a call to shared moral judgment on the value of the human and using moral principles to judge people. See, but over time, in many cultural institutions, the implementation of this shifted towards identity as the primary lens, and people began being treated as subsets and these roles and characters. You know, the identity, it became what it was that we trained to see ourselves as, and therefore we saw others. And so we saw people as categories rather than persons. And when the primary moral language becomes group identity, the result is rarely unity. The result is almost always rivalry. Even when historical grievances are real, turning grievance into an identity can become a spiritual trap, because a person cannot heal what they must continually perform. See, this contributes to a new form of classism based on access, education, networks, and institutional fluency. A small elite learns how to speak the right language and climb the right ladders, while many working families lose stability, shared culture, and a sense of common purpose. See, the amplifying lever, which is the added one that I added after I was completed with the research, it was the attention economy. Because if the education system shapes how you think, and the welfare system shapes what you expect, and identity systems shape how you see one another, then the attention economy shapes what you can even notice. And I realized that this part right here, it's what was missing all the time when I couldn't figure it out. It's where I gained my understanding, and hopefully you'll get some understanding from this as well. Because attention, it profits from your reaction. It profits from your outrage. It profits from your fear. It profits from your endless scrolling. So it feeds what keeps you activated, not what makes you wise, not what makes you whole, not what helps you love your neighbor. And over time, it trains your nervous system to prefer stimulation over truth. So what happens when you combine these forces? Talking about an education system that often trains compliance over discernment, a bureaucracy of compassion that weakens agency and replaces neighborly activities, an identity culture that can divide the human spirit into rival labels, and an attention economy that harvests the mind through emotional feedback loops. You produce the citizens of the Great Descension, the sleepwalker. See, what is the profile? It's uncritical. See, they believe what they were told because they were never trained to test the responses. They have become reactive. They feel first and then they think later because the system rewards emotion. They become dependent. They look outward for security because inner sovereignty has been atrophied. They are divided. They view their neighbor as a demographic rival, not as a spiritual mirror. And they're distracted. Their attention is harvested because their mind has not been guarded. And we all end up exhausted, where their souls is tired because it was not built for perpetual outrage. Now, I want you to understand something. The machine does not need to hate you to use you. It only needs you to remain untrained. Because if you do nothing, it will keep on running. But here's the turning point of this entire message. We are not only the citizens, we are also the mechanics. And anything that we can identify, we can interrupt. And anything that you can interrupt, you can rewire. And anything that you can rewire, you can rebuild. But to rebuild, we must shift from diagnosis to protocol. Now, before we do that, we're going to pause for a moment. I'm gonna go get me some water so that we can have a upflow. And let's take a break and think about some of the things I said, because I'm not taking a symbolic pause, I'm taking a real one. So in a moment, I'm going to call a 5-minute intermission, and I want you to hear why. So during this time, we've covered what it is I'm talking about, and then why it is that I'm talking about it, right? But if we rush from the problem to the solution without letting all of that truth land, what we'll do is we'll treat this speech just like another content, like more content, another thing that we consumed with our day. But that's not what we're here for. We're not here just to consume some information. We are here to become. So in this 5-minute intermission, do these 3 things. First, breathe. And I'm talking about like do some deep breathing and let your nervous system just settle down. Second, ask yourself, where have I become a sleepwalker? And third, write down one area where you have been reactive instead of strategic, and one area where you've allowed a label of yourself or someone else to replace the human. No shame, no judgment, no performance. Just be vulnerably true and honest with yourself. Because freedom begins with self-honesty. Stand, stretch, drink some water, step outside if you need to. Look, we're going to take 5-minute intermission, and then I'll be back here. here. All right, that was good. We needed that. Like I said, it works to have some time to shift from the diagnosis to the solution. That's why when the doctor, they come in and tell you, they be like, all right, we're going to be back. And then it seemed like they'd be gone for an hour. So that was a 5-minute break. And so here we are. Let's get back into it. So my divine path walkers, I want to welcome you back. So now we enter into the third movement, talk about the way of the spiritual strategist, because diagnosis is not a cure. See, it's easy for me to look at the crumbling pillars, to look at the misinformation, the materialism, division, and to feel small. And it's easy to say, what can one person do? And it's easy for us to resign ourselves into like cynicism, or to want to hide inside of entertainment, or to numb ourselves out with doom scrolling. But we are not here to mourn the old world. We are here to architect the new one. And that begins with a decision to reclaim your divine authority. See, divine authority is not arrogance, it's alignment. It is the inner permission for you to live from truth, not from trends, from conscience, not crowds, to live from spirit, not impulse. Divine authority is what happens when the head, the heart, and the hands reunite under a higher standard. See, we're moving away from the era of Homo economicus, I'm talking about man, the consumer, toward Homo spiritus, man, the awakened steward. You ask, what is it that we do? So here it is. This is the standard. Awakened thinking is the triad of truth seeking, consequence awareness, and human sacredness. See, truth seeking is saying that I will not be manipulated by consequences. I'm going to become more consequence awareness. I will not be impulsive. I will see humans as sacred. I will not sacrifice their souls for the outcomes. And these protocols that I'm going to give you is because that you need all three of these. Because truth without sacredness becomes cold technocracy. And strategy without sacredness becomes exploitation. Sacredness without truth becomes naive sentimentalism. And sacredness without strategy becomes burnout. So we interrogate everything. So the first protocol is the STOP protocol, the STOP protocol. So this is the reclaiming of cognitive sovereignty. That's how we use this. Because every single day, we are way more reactive than we are responsive. So by using this protocol, it helps us to become more responsive than reactive. So the S is stop. So before you react, before you make a comment, before you share, before you decide, before you follow, before you share my post, before you comment, I want you to decide, stop here, stop right here. Like, ask yourself, what does this mean in real life? See, stop, it's where you refuse to let the reading of a headline change your mood. And it's where you refuse to let a stranger's rage script ruin your day. It's where you refuse to let your nervous system become a puppet to somebody else's actions. And T, this is where you test. See, you ask, what is the claim that's being claimed here? Or what is the evidence of what's being said? What would prove this false? Or what would make me change my mind? I tell people all the time that what makes me so much more fluid in an argument is I'm willing to consider that everything that I believe could be wrong. I'm willing to consider that I could be wrong. And this helps me to manage myself while listening to someone else explain to me what their point is. Because if the answer is there's nothing that could make me change my mind, then that's not conviction. I am captive by that thought and that belief. Because testing is not cynicism. Testing is maturity. Testing is how you actually honor truth. So that's ST, and then there's O, observe. See, what emotion is driving me right now? Is it fear? Is it pride? Is it resentment? Is it humiliation? Is it the need to be right? See, when you observe, you regain authorship. You stop being an instrument and become an interpreter. You know, like I always tell people, think about what it is that you're thinking about. Recognize the feeling and say, why is it that I feel like this? And after you do these 3 steps, you can now proceed, because we want to proceed with the action that is aligned with the truth and human worth. See, sometimes the aligned action is speaking, but sometimes it's silence. See, sometimes it's asking a better question, and sometimes it's just sending a private message instead of posting a public accusation. And I know I'm the worst at this. People tell me I'm always giving diagnoses and accusations instead of seeking the information and understanding through asking questions. So this is how you fight the infodemic. It's by becoming reverent toward truth, because truth is not just information. Truth is spiritual discipline. So the second protocol, this is the vital one. This is what drove me to want to create this speech, this 3-part speech where I give you all of the information and I break it down. This was what drove me to make sure that I did it though. So this is the second one. I call this No Souls on the Altars. This is the reclaiming of the human value. This is humane thinking. Before every major decision, whether it be a business decision, family decision, leadership decision, your purchases, run this test. Ask yourself, who bears the cost if this goes wrong? Are any human beings being treated as expendable? Are we hiding harm behind abstractions like collateral damage, externalities, or an acceptable loss? If I were on the receiving end of this, would I call it justice? See, if a plan requires degrading humans to succeed, it's not success. It's an actual spiritual failure. And if you bring this close, like it tests the way you move in your home. You know, when you speak to your spouse like they're an obstacle, or when you treat your children like they're interruptions, you know, when you treat your employees like they're just numbers, and when you treat yourself like you're just a machine. No souls on the altars, not theirs, not yours. Protocol 3, the strategic stillness. I'm talking about reclaiming logic and long-term vision, because logic, it requires quiet. Strategy cannot be built on a nervous system that is constantly activated. So I challenge you, practice strategic stillness, 10 minutes daily in silence, not for relaxation, but for reconstruction. See, in those 10 minutes, do 3 things. First, Review your last 24 hours and ask, where did I betray my own values? And then second, visualize the long-term consequences of your current habits. And third, choose one strategic action that aligns with your life and with your highest calling. And if you do this daily, you are going to improve in ways that cannot be explained, because the future is built by decisions that you repeat. Now, those 3 protocols are not theories. They are training, and training requires structure. So I'm going to give you a concrete 30-day plan that you can use to be able to implement this structure. Because if we try to do it all today, all too quick, it'll work for a couple of days and then it'll all fall apart. So use the next 4 weeks. And in the first week, just focus on discernment. Every day, practice a 5 filter check for information. Check its source. Say, who's saying this? And what is their track record for truth? And check the evidence. What supports this? I'm talking about beyond their assertions. I ain't talking about just stuff that people are saying. Check the incentives. Who benefits if I believe this? Check the alternatives. What else could be true? And check the falsifiability, because this is the one that gets me. That, like, stuff be so dang false on its face. You know what I'm saying? Just start asking questions. There's holes all in it. Ask yourself, could this be simply disproved? And if it can be simply disproved, why are you accepting it? And make this a normal habit just to ask, how do we know? And just practice this for the next week. And then in the second week, add the logic practice. This is where you, before a decision, you ask, 12 months from now, if this fails, why? Why did it fail? And then ask, if this succeeds, what did it cost us to get here? Like, what was it in the success that we wish that steps we would have taken now? See, this second and third and fourth line thinking helps you to be able to make it through your year, through your weeks, through your plans in a more successful way, more productive way. So now, week 1, week 2, now in the third week, I want you to practice the humane training. Just name the human. It's behind every statistic, there is a face. Like when you stereotype somebody, put people in boxes, you're talking about actual human beings. Put a face to it. Put a person you know somebody that fits that label that you're putting on those people. Every label is a story. When you feel yourself dehumanizing somebody, stop and name the human. See, someone who is afraid, someone who is confused, someone that was made in the image and likeness of God. See, stop being so quick to put peoples into these categories and what's the word? Minimizing them. You know, stop. We all have to stop doing this. And then in the fourth week, want you to do this integration where you pick one dilemma in your life, whether it's in your workplace, in your personal life, and apply the no souls on the altars test. Then build one new habit that embodies awakened thinking. And that's what we're talking about here. This video is about awakened thinking. It's where you think critically, logically, and humanely in your life. So now I want to offer you the adult version of Trivium, because this is how you become unmanipulatable. See, grammar defines terms. Most arguments are not disagreements. They are definition collisions. Ask, what do you mean by that? Define your values, define your goals, and define what success actually means before you spend a decade chasing it. Use logic, trace consequences. Stop making choices that only make sense for the next minute, next hour, next moment. Ask yourself, what am I practicing when I do this? Because every choice is training you into a person. And then do detect persuasion through listening to rhetoric, because you need to learn the difference between evidence and performance. Learn the difference between truth and marketing. Learn to hear the incentive behind the message. Now let me get painfully practical. If you want to reclaim divine authority, you must reclaim your attention. Your attention is your life. It's your life's currency. What you consistently attend to, you eventually worship, because it becomes the thing that shapes your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. So make one commitment for the next 30 days. Choose 1 hour every day that where you unharvest these things. Everything. I'm talking about going to a place for an hour where you have no news, no social media, no outrage, no doom scrolling. And in that hour, do one of three things. You can read something that strengthens your mind, write something that clarifies your soul and your goals, or serve someone in a way that strengthens your humanity and brings true fulfillment. See, this is not productivity hack. This is a liberation practice. And I want to offer you a simple covenant of the reconstruction by 3 vows you can take as a free person in an unfree environment. Vow number 1. I am not going to outsource my mind. I will read, study, and think for myself. I will not let headlines replace understanding. I will not let slogans replace reasoning. I will not let a crowd do my discernment for me. Vow number 2. I will not outsource my character. I will take responsibility for my reactions. I will stop blaming the world for what I refuse to train. I will build the discipline that my future requires. I will become the kind of person that values demand. Vow number 3. I will not outsource my humanity. I will treat people as sacred even when I disagree with them. I will refuse to dehumanize. I will refuse to turn my neighbor into an enemy for entertainment. I will practice compassion with boundaries and truth with love. So now for some of you, the question is, where do I start? I feel so overwhelmed. Start with a 72-hour reset. For the next 3 days, cut the inputs that hijack you. Turn them off. Turn off any non-essential notifications. No doom scrolling before a certain time in the morning. No outrage content at night. If something is truly important, it will find you without you living on the edge of panic every single day, in every single moment. In those same 3 days, I want you to do 3 replacements. Replace 1 hour of doom scrolling with reading. Replace 1 hour of reacting with journaling. And replace 1 hour of consuming with an act of service. Text someone, encourage somebody, apologize where you need to, ask for help where you need to, help someone practically, show up. The goal is not to become perfect. The goal is to prove that you own your mind and that you are still the one in charge. Because once you remember that you can choose, you can begin to heal. So now here's the missing ingredient that most people need to reinforce. Because most people don't fail because they lack information. They fail because they are trying to rebuild themselves inside of an environment that is still training them to stay asleep. You cannot maintain sovereignty in isolation. Yes, you can begin alone, but you cannot finish alone. That's why the awakened path has always been walked in fellowship. Iron sharpening iron, mirrors that tell the truth, circles that keep you accountable, and people who remind you of who you are when you forget. This is why we have built the Divine Pathwalkers community. not as another feed to scroll, but as a training ground for sovereignty, a place where you practice discernment, a place where you sharpen your strategy, a place where you recover humane thinking, a place where we learn to walk in our divine authority without surrendering our minds, our spirits, or our souls. And we do not just talk, we apply, we challenge, we build, and we rebuild, because the Great Descension ends one person at a time, one family at a time, one conversation at a time, one disciplined nervous system at a time. You don't change the world by arguing endlessly on the internet. You change it by building small pockets of sanity that become contagious. Imagine what happens when a critical mass of people do this. Imagine homes where the dinner table is not drowned in doom scrolling, but grounded in discernment. Imagine fathers and mothers who can regulate their emotions, think clearly, and lead with steadiness. Imagine young people trained to define terms, test claims, and refuse to be manipulated. See, imagine neighbors who stop performing outrage and start practicing responsibility. Imagine entrepreneurs building businesses that refuse to put souls on the altars, businesses with ethics, wages with dignity, leadership with conscience. How about this? Imagine churches and communities that stop competing for attention and start competing for faithfulness. See, this is not some fantasy. This is reconstructionalism, and it starts with you deciding that your life will not be a casualty of the age. If you want that kind of reinforcement, if you want a place that trains these types of protocols with people who are serious, then come and join me in the Divine Pathwalkers community and bring your questions, bring your setbacks, bring your hunger for the truth, and we will build together. So let me close with this. The machine of hollow society wants you distracted, divided, and dependent. It wants you emotionally reactive and spiritually numb. But you were not made for that. You were made for the truth. You were made for wisdom. You were made for love with backbone. You were made for stewardship. You were made to be a strategist of your own life. The Great Descension is not destiny. It is a pattern, and patterns can be broken. So here's my call to action. Tonight, choose one protocol and start. Stop before you react. Run a no souls on the altars test before you decide. Practice strategic stillness before you drift. Then commit to 30 days. And when you slip, because you will, don't shame yourself. Don't judge yourself. Just reset, return, rebuild. See, progress is not perfection. Progress is repentance and repetition. And if you are ready to enhance your life, rebuild your mind, and walk in your divine authority, come walk with us. Join the Divine Pathwalkers community today. Not because we need numbers, because we don't. Because the future needs builders. Because your family needs a role model. Because your community needs a leader. Because your soul needs reinforcement. And the Great Descension, it can be ended with us making these type of choices and building and growing together. And it's time for us to rise. Your next step is not a feeling. It is a commitment. Decide what you will no longer consume, what you will no longer practice, who you will no longer walk with. The age is loud. The awakened are steady. Be one of the steady.
I'm choosing purpose over comfort. Every day I rise, alignment over illusion. Truth in my eyes, resonance my way. Alignment in my way, and I'm lit from within. This is how I begin. Comfort. Every day I rise, alignment over illusion. Truth in my eyes, resonance my way. Alignment in my way, and I'm lit from within. This is how I begin. I'm a spark in the field where remembrance ignite.